Welcome. We are excited to provide you with this session, Ableism, Implicit Bias, and Microaggressions. 26.8% of U.S. adults have a disability, but this isn't reflected in the medical profession, with only 9% of medical students, 9.3% of residents, and 3.1% of physicians disclosing a disability. Disabilities can be apparent or non-apparent and are often grouped according to the following categories: chronic health, psychological, learning, physical, and sensory. Disabilities can develop at any point in one's life. For some, the demands of clinical training and practice could exacerbate or otherwise contribute to the development of a disability. Some medical students and physicians with disabilities may not disclose for fear of stigma or bias. In fact, approximately 12% of medical students who require accommodations do not request them. Among residents, only half of trainees with a self-identified need for accommodations request them. The two most common reasons for not seeking accommodations are fear of stigma or bias and uncertainty about the process. Non-disclosure can lead to considerable consequences, including increased depressive symptoms and burnout.
The underrepresentation of people with disabilities in medicine is partially due to a culture of ableism, which manifests as both explicit and implicit bias, including microaggression. Ableism is the discrimination of and social prejudice against people with disabilities based on the belief that typical abilities are superior. It refers to the practices and dominant attitudes in society that devalue and limit the potential of persons with disability. Because we are surrounded by ableism in society, our views of disability can often be harmful without us even knowing. This is why it's so critical to intentionally learn about disability, centering on learning from those with lived experience. Implicit bias refers to attitudes or stereotypes about certain groups that affect understanding, actions, and decisions in an unconscious manner. Sometimes ableist beliefs and unconscious bias manifest in our interactions with others as microaggression. Microaggressions are brief statements or behaviors that communicate negative messages regarding minoritized group identity related to disability, race or ethnicity, sex, gender, sexual orientation, and potentially other categories.
Ableism is often the root of the bias and microaggressions towards disability. This type of harm creates hesitancy for people with disabilities to enter medicine, and when they do choose to enter the medical profession, they may experience exclusion or harm. Underrepresentation of people with disabilities continues the cycle of ableism because without the strengths, wisdom, and perspectives of disabled people present, harmful ableist ideas are less likely to be challenged. Let's look at a few examples of bias and microaggressions in medicine, followed by counterexamples when the bias has been removed.
I wanted to share some concerns with you. I noticed that you requested accommodations to not round for more than 1 hour without a break, and I'm unsure how you can fully contribute during rounds if you cannot stand for extended periods. If we can't take the stairs, rounds will be too slow. Rounds often take several hours. If we provide this break for you, and not for others, the team will be frustrated.
I feel like I have so much to offer, and this focus on my limitations will cloud my strengths. Is she going to out me to my peers?
I promise to do my best to keep up, Dr. Brown.
In this case, the attending seems to view accommodations as a burden because they may require a shift in the way rounds are typically conducted. This resident's disability is being framed as weakness, calling into question whether they can contribute fully. The resident likely feels harmed, excluded, and undervalued. As a result of these beliefs, she may be less likely to use her accommodations, potentially standing or taking stairs, and causing pain, fatigue, or injury. Alternatively, she may use her accommodations. Perhaps she has no choice, and the team will move on without her, costing her a chance to demonstrate knowledge and to learn. Now, let's explore an alternative.
Thanks for sharing your accommodations with me yesterday. We can definitely take the elevator for rounds, and can incorporate a break. Would you like to bring a stool with you in case you need it? I just wanted to be sure we had a chance to talk in case you had anything else you'd like to share or any questions.
Wow. She's so understanding and clearly welcomes me as part of the team. Thank you so much for your support. I don't have anything for now, but I'm so glad to know I can come to you if I do.
Morning, team. This weather has been so bipolar lately. Wasn't it just sunny this morning? It's all over the place.
My bipolar disorder isn't really a joke, and comparing it to weather feels like it's being minimized. Maybe I shouldn't tell this doctor about my accommodations. I guess I shouldn't bother requesting time off from my therapy appointments either.
It is easy to assume that everyday language is not a big deal. Perhaps if everyone says it, it's okay. Ableist language, though, is both a common and hurtful type of microaggression. Even when not referring to a person, using a diagnosis as a joke can frame the disability negatively, minimize the experience of those living with a disability, or position a diagnosis as something to be made fun of. This can leave a team member questioning if they will be judged harshly for their lived experience. Words like crazy or lame, and phrases such as "I'm so OCD" to describe being picky, or "I'm so ADHD" to describe being disorganized, are all examples of this type of microaggression. Notably, in medicine, jokes regarding diagnosis can also perpetuate stigma against patients that the team may encounter with that specific condition. Now, let's explore another alternative.
Morning, team. This weather can't make up its mind. It was just sunny this morning.
Oh yeah, I need to remember to tell him about my accommodation to leave clinic after rounds today for my weekly therapy appointment.
In the absence of a harmful joke, the resident did not feel the same need to hide his access need. We tend to judge others on impact, while we tend to judge ourselves on intent. Microaggressions can occur without any intent to undermine, offend, diminish, or silence others. Thus, we must look beyond our positive intentions to also consider our impact. Repeated exposure to microaggressions can lead to imposter syndrome, burnout, and poor health. There is growing awareness of race, sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation-based microaggressions. We similarly need to appreciate how microaggressions related to disability manifest, so we can consider how to best support all trainees. It's also important that we consider how individuals living at the intersection of multiple marginalized identities may experience microaggressions. Achieving disability inclusion requires us to unlearn harmful ideas regarding disability, lessening our bias and reducing ableism. Not only do trainees with disabilities bring unique strengths to medicine, but they, along with all learners in graduate medical education, deserve the opportunity to thrive as their full selves. The following resources were used in the development of these slides. This video is a product of the Doctors with Disabilities Initiative's DIGME, or Disability in Graduate Medical Education program, with funding from the UCDavis School of Medicine Center for a Diverse Healthcare Workforce. Additional resources and information about the Docs with Disabilities initiative can be found on our website at www.DocsWithDisabilities.org and on the Docs with Disabilities Initiative's YouTube page. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter and Instagram for updates on our work. Thank you.